Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today, ways to stop caring what others think. And I'm seeing a lot of posts at the moment out there on social media about how people do struggle at this time of year. I think maybe particularly women, to try and get everything right for everybody and to make everybody happy. I think it becomes more prominent at this time of year, but I suspect it's there most of the time for a lot of us. And I had a couple of conversations over the weekend that were really interesting around this subject and connected to each other. So on Friday afternoon, we picked up my stepson from his house and brought him back to our house, and he was talking all about Christmas. He's 10, talking all about Christmas and saying about these things that make him happy about Christmas. And at one point we were talking about mince pies and chocolate, because somehow we got onto food, the food that makes us happy at Christmas. And then we had a lovely conversation about, it's wonderful to feel the joy of mince pies and chocolate. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a mince pie and I do like chocolate. But we explored how those things don't make us happy. And I said, if you took 100 mince pies and put them in a room and you sent 100 people in, all assigned a mince pie, what a fun experiment that would be. You would get, you'd get a percentage of people who were absolutely over the moon, they'd be pleased to be having a mince pie. You'd have a group of people who were kind of, mince pies are all right, kind of take or leave them, really. And then you'll have another group who literally just don't like mince pies. You can, of course, insert any particular Christmas food stuff into this into this metaphor, of course. Brussels sprouts is probably a good one, isn't it? Because let's be honest, a lot of people don't like those. My fiance is one of them. My son is another, actually, but my daughter and I really love them. So that led to another conversation with a client where I said at one point in the conversation, "You're a mince pie." I said to her, "You're a mince pie," because she was talking a lot about trying to make other people happy. And I think that is maybe quite a strong mum thing. I remember feeling like it was my job to kind of make sure everybody else was okay. I probably still do, coming up to Christmas, I'm making sure that I've got all the bits of dietary needs met and, the presents that I think people are going to enjoy. There's nothing wrong with that. But I did find myself saying to this client, "You're a mince pie," because, again, the mince pie in that room of 100 people with 100 mince pies, the mince pie isn't making anybody feel anything. A mince pie is just sitting there being a mince pie or a sprout or, whatever else. Oh, Christmas pudding, that's the other one that divides people, isn't it? So it's not the mince pie. It can't be the mince pie, because let's say there was one mince pie, all exactly, and everybody was sharing a bit of it. The mince pie itself would not be creating those 100 people's experience. Their thinking about the mince pie would be doing that. Now that's that is not a license to be a donkey. I'm trying to squeeze as many Christmas things into this as I possibly can. If you're not listening to it at Christmas, sorry, but I'm a few days before Christmas, so I'm definitely squeezing Christmas into this session. You're not you know, this is not a license to be unpleasant, but you're not creating other people's feelings. You're a mince pie. In terms of how human experience is created, you are no different to a mince pie or anything else in the world that we all relate to differently. And you know what? I think when we don't have the trying to please other people on our minds, we can naturally fall into a place of presence with ourselves and a place where we can make really intuitive decisions about what is the next thing to do, rather than being caught up here with, oh, how do I, my mum's coming, got to make her happy, and my dad's coming, I'll make him happy, and then my kids, and, then my Auntie Flo's coming on Boxing Day, and I have to make her happy as well, it's just like, it just fills our heads and makes our heads very busy. And then we're not so connected to our own intuition and not as guided. Seeing this inside out way that life works, actually, it might sound like I'm saying, well, don't care what you do then, or don't care how you behave. But once you are settled and once you are feeling calm and once you know it works inside out, not outside in, you naturally do things that other people like. You just do. And I think it's because, really, when we're caught up here, we're not really connected to those other people. We're connected to our thinking about those other people, and that's not the same thing. So our heads get very busy with trying to work out what the other person's thinking, what's going to make the other person happy, and that makes our heads very busy. And that busyness of mind is what disconnects human beings from each other. Human beings are naturally connected when they're not trying to work it all out in their intellect. That is just how we are naturally. That's a natural state of mind for us. It's a place where we naturally are when we are not caught up in our thinking. So this realization that you're a mince pie, or you are, in terms of how human experience is created, you are no different to a mince pie, is really helpful. Because as you stop thinking and churning over how to make sure, make sure you kind of are focused on what other people are thinking and what they're going to want and all of that, when you stop doing that, you do naturally fall into presence, you naturally fall into connection, and you naturally are able to do things that connect you to other human beings, because that's who you really are. You are naturally connected to other human beings when you're not caught up in your thinking. So, the mince pie doesn't care what other people think about it, mainly because it doesn't do any thinking. But there are human beings who are like that, and that's our children. I was at a party actually on Saturday evening with family, and we only really see these family once a year. And it was interesting because we haven't had the party for a couple of years because of obvious reasons. And one of the little girls, my mum's cousin's daughter's daughter, was pretending to be a cat much of the evening. She wanted everybody to pat her head, and she meowed and she potted around on the floor being a cat. And I said to her mum, how wonderful that she doesn't care what anybody else thinks about her being a cat. I don't think there's many adults who would still crawl around on the floor pretending to be a cat, because we would be too concerned about what other people think. We'd be too concerned about their judgment. We'd be too concerned about looking stupid, when in actual fact, it's just our thinking about that that's the problem. Other people will be other people in their 7.8 to 8 billion realities. They're creating that themselves. You're not doing it. So as I said, this is not, I'm going to say it again because I think it's helpful to say it again, this is not a license to be King Herod and be unpleasant and go, we all know what King Herod did if we know the Christmas story. It's not a license to be horrible. It in fact provides you with the ability to be loving, because you are made of love. You are love. You are calm. You are clarity. You are all those things. And when you realize that you are creating somebody else's experience of life, no more or less than a mince pie or a Brussels sprout or Christmas pudding, whatever it is, you can access something deeper inside you that connects you to other human beings more. So I hope you found that helpful. Whether you're listening to this or connecting to this in the run up to Christmas or at any time in life, it is not your job to make other people happy, because only their thinking can make them happy. And as you fall away from the need to, the concern about what other people are thinking and how they are, you will naturally connect to something inside you that is amazing and will naturally create those wonderful relationships from a place of presence. So I'm not going to quite sign off with a Merry Christmas yet. I will say, hope you're having a lovely run up to Christmas. I will be here for another few more days, sharing my thoughts and what I'm seeing. Take care and lots of love. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.